Hello, Griffin fans. My name is David Oliverio. I'm the Assistant Sports Information Director at Seton Hill University. What we've decided to do so that we'll have continual content on social media is every few days we're going to interview a coach, and we're going to bring that interview to you on our various social media accounts. So follow us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, and give us a like on Instagram in order to watch these videos. And they're going to remain up, throughout history. As long as we have these accounts, these are going to be up. So don't worry if you miss anything. This is not live. This will be recorded. So hopefully we'll have some bloopers at the end. Our first interview today, we will have Marc Marizzaldi. He is the head baseball coach at Seton Hill University. Coach, say hi to everybody.
David, good afternoon, and good afternoon to Griffin fans.
We're dealing with an unprecedented crisis right now, Coach, but for the first time in history, sports have not continued. We continued sports throughout both world wars. We continued sports throughout every major crisis, but this one, we have decided to postpone some and even cancel sports. I know that, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago was supposed to be the opening of baseball, of Major League Baseball. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I've heard the word devastating used, and I think it's affected everybody, some people a little bit differently than others. In particular, seniors, I think, are the people that suffer the most from what happened. But in our team in particular, we were off to a pretty good start. We were 9-4 this year. I really enjoyed our team. There was a lot of optimism surrounding our season. I think we had some really good baseball still ahead of us to play. And like everybody else, we were disappointed. But I think it all comes down to perspective. We are no different than any other team in the country. We lost out on an opportunity to play this year, but there's a little bit bigger things going on. It's a crisis. The health of our entire country certainly takes precedence over any sporting events. So I think our team was disappointed. I would hesitate to say that we were devastated, only because our team had suffered something a lot more devastating a couple of months prior with the passing of McLean Maughan. So we, because of some other difficulties we had faced this semester already, I think we were able to kind of put this into perspective, where losing a season is very tough, but it certainly pales in comparison to losing a teammate. So yeah, we're like everybody else, trying to find different things to fill the void in our daily lives right now. And I think the most challenging part of what we're facing is there's no timetable for it. I think initially we were optimistic that we might get back on the field or get back to campus, but that obviously is not going to happen. So a lot of our kids are looking forward to summer baseball right now, which that is in jeopardy as well. And I've heard talks of even football season. Nobody really knows the timetable for that. So at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make the best of an uncertain, difficult situation.
Well, I know for anybody that's been on the campus of Seton Hill, we have a motto on campus that says "Hazard yet forward," and that kind of speaks well to what you were just saying. We're cautiously optimistic, but I think putting a timetable on any of this stuff, it is more of a mistake than anything, because viruses don't have timetables, right? We don't know. There's so many mysteries about this. But let's move forward. Tell me, Coach, where were you, and how did you find out when your season was canceled?
Well, there was some anticipation coming with it. On our very last day in Florida, which we were very, very fortunate to actually get a full spring break trip in. It was an awesome experience for us. But on our very last day, we were coming home on a Saturday, and we had heard about some teams that were not coming down for the following week. And at that point, it started to hit me how significant this really was. That was on a Saturday, and the next 7 days, that would have been, I think, March 7th through roughly the 13th. That's when things really escalated. But we had come home from Florida. We were practicing, and then you started to see some things start to fall. Seasons or games starting to be canceled. I think, in my opinion, the big thing that happened that really set everything else in motion was the NBA canceling their season. It seemed like the NCAA and NHL and everybody followed after that. But we were in a very awkward position. We were hosting Saginaw Valley State for a 3-game series on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Saginaw actually made the trip down to Greensburg on Thursday. We practiced, and then they took the field and practiced right after us on Thursday evening. And then it was Friday morning that the PSAC made their ruling, and also the GLIAC, that the conference that Saginaw is in, made their ruling to cancel everything. So Saginaw got up Friday morning and drove all the way home. We had a team meeting Friday afternoon to kind of convey to the team what we knew at that time, and that was that everything was postponed, and then shortly thereafter, everything was confirmed to be canceled. So that was kind of our timetable on how we found out and how our season came to be canceled.
I remember eating lunch with you maybe the day before, maybe it was like the Thursday. We were all eating lunch in the Seton Hill cafeteria, and we were making comments like, we knew they were going to move the general population of the school online. So we couldn't figure out how could we have justified moving the general population online while keeping athletes on campus. And even we had been talking, you, I, Dan McCarty, our men's soccer coach, was there, Brian Novotny, Jason Green, we were all there. And our general consensus was, how do we justify sending some students home but keeping others? And that just didn't make sense to me, the whole thing. But like you said, Saginaw Valley made the entire trip. And man, what disappointment they had to feel. They spend 24 hours here and jump on the bus and go home.
Yeah, they certainly did. It was sort of a wasted trip, but again, there was a lot of things that were happening that were out of all of our control.
Coach, have you stayed in contact with your team?
Not as well as I would like to. I'm used to that every single day, seeing the faces at practice and having those conversations. I miss that a whole lot. We are staying in contact as best as we can. We've gone about it in some different ways. Our assistant coaches, Tyler Sullivan and Tim Cronin, are sort of reaching out to our players on a maybe not daily basis, but a couple of times a week, specifically, based on their position. I try to put together 1 or 2 videos every week, personal videos that I'll send out and share with our team so I can address them, a 5 or 10 minute segment at a time. We have an outstanding kind of structure to our team where we have a leadership group, which consists of 8 guys. Those 8 guys have about 6 players underneath them that they kind of communicate with. So we use that structure where we're speaking with our leaders and they're kind of following up with our players. So a little bit of a top down and then bottom back up communication chain. Our guys have been sharing some different videos with each other and with the team. And I know there's a lot of conversations going on between players right now too. So we're doing the best that we can. We have not gotten into any type of video, communication. We may not. Just kind of depends on if that's necessary for our guys.
We're all nobody really knows how to react in this sort of situation because we've never experienced anything like this. What have you, if you've been in contact with your team, even just a little bit, what advice have you given them?
I really had like 4 things that I addressed them about a week ago. First of all was just having structure to their lives, both on the, physical side of it and also on the academic side of it. I think right now, with all the classes being moved online, there's that temptation to maybe procrastinate a little bit. One thing that I think we were able to provide for our players when they're on campus and we're in season structure, where it's pretty regimented schedule of practice and study halls and classes. That's kind of gone out the window right now. So I've encouraged guys to have the discipline to create that structure for themselves, where every day they're still eating well, they're still getting some physical training in. Hopefully they have some resources to do some baseball skill training, and then obviously set aside the same time every day to commit to their schoolwork. The other thing was perspective. I think we're all going to go through different cycles of how we handle this coronavirus. I think the first cycle was just devastation. Hard to believe that we're being sent home and our season's canceled. But now it's kind of dealing with that reality and having productive days. That's kind of a motto of our team, is win the day. And just because some things have happened that have been out of our control, we want our guys to have the right perspective and know that they can still come out and win the day by taking care of their academic responsibilities. And then the last thing was faith. I think, regardless of your religious beliefs, I think we have to have faith that as a country, we're going to make it through this. Financially, it's difficult right now. We have people losing jobs, and, it's crazy what's going on, but we are going to play baseball again. We don't know when that is, but we want our guys to just have a very positive outlook. This could be a negative thing that's happened, but it's all about perspective and having faith that sooner or later we'll all be back together and we'll all be playing baseball again, and hopefully that we will all be healthy on the other side of this. So those are kind of the things that we try to share with our guys at the onset of what's happened.
Coach, take a second and give me, what's your favorite memory? I know we had such a short season, but I think everybody, at least on the Hill and nationally, we had gotten a little bit of attention. I think we were going to be a pretty darn competitive team this year. So what's your favorite memory of this short season?
Well, it's really easy to immediately go to that win against Tampa. Going out and beating the defending national champions on their field is that's a tall task, and that's certainly an accomplishment for us to be proud of. Marshall McGraw was our starting pitcher that day, and he only threw 4 innings. He was throwing a shutout. We had to go to the bullpen. So we scrambled a little bit, overcame a little bit of adversity, losing our starting pitcher, and still came out on top. I think that was a real confidence boost for our team. I think we knew that we could be a pretty good team, and that confirmed that we can compete on a very high national level. So that's a highlight. I really enjoyed the opening weekend at Coker. We went down and played some absolutely outstanding baseball. I think we went the entire weekend, only made 1 error, hit like 8 home runs. It was just a fun environment. Opening up the season, you never really know what to expect, and we're opening up on somebody else's home field for 3 games, and wow, we really made a statement. So there was those are a couple of positives that stood out. But for me, a highlight for me personally is just the growth that took place after the passing of McLean Mond until the beginning of our season. That was without a doubt the most difficult professional experience I've ever had in my life. Personally, I know that some of our players, that's the hardest thing they've ever had to deal with in their life. But to see how our team came together as a brotherhood, how deeply we loved and cared for each other from that time Mac passed until it was time to say, hey, man, we got to lace him up, or we got to get on the field, and we got to play with a really big purpose now. To me, that's the highlight of what our season was.
Yeah, certainly Seton Hill University is no stranger to any tragedies, and that's just a part of life. And like you said, we'll play baseball again. We don't know when, but we will play baseball again. Let's switch gears. Let's get a little bit more of a lighter subject. How have you been spending your days now, especially that we have a stay-at-home order here? I know you have a family. What have the kids been doing? What's the wife doing, and what are you doing to occupy your time?
Well, I'm still figuring some things out. My wife works full time Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So March and April for me is I'm never home. Throwing a lot of batting practice, hitting a lot of fungos, making a lot of lineups, and now I'm doing a lot of laundry, doing a lot of math and reading. Attempting to make some food, cook dinner every night, which I'm not very good at. I'm running out of things to clean. I've cleaned out closets, garages, basements. I can't really sit still. I got to be busy. So it's a different thing going on. Both of our daughters start online school on Monday. So now I'll have to undertake the elementary school teacher role. So that'll be a new one. But I'm trying as best as I can to have some type of routine for myself. I try to work out every morning for about 60, 90 minutes. I find some seriously good stuff to binge watch on Netflix. I just finished The Morning Show, which is on Apple TV. Highly recommend that one. That was fantastic. I just started my 3rd season of Ozarks. That's another one.
I've heard of it.
Ozarks is really good. And I've been able to catch some really good games on MLB Network. I think it was last week they had the 1995 American League Championship between the Mariners and Yankees. And it made me feel old because A-Rod and Jeter were both riding the bench for those teams. And it's hard to think like that was the beginning of their career. So there's some good stuff on TV that's filling some gaps between giving my attention to my daughters right now.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, we're people who work in athletics, especially coaches. When it becomes your championship season, you are busy almost 20 hours out of the day with just a little time to sleep. Then you wake up, come to the office, go to the field, do the things that we have to do. So now we're having to be, I guess, normal people, that have to do that. And for someone in your position, you're having to become a teacher now for your children. And I'm sure you'll have to relearn concepts that you haven't thought about in 30 years, So it's a task that, I'm sure that you're up for.
Yeah,
you'll excel.
As a coach, I think we all struggle sometimes with being present, like especially when you're in season. When you come home, you're constantly thinking about that next game or that next scouting report or that next practice. I certainly wish we were playing baseball, but this has really given me the ability to be completely present and a lot more engaging with my daughters than I normally would be in the months of March and April. So in that regard, it is a blessing being able to spend some quality time at home with our family.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, I think we've covered almost everything. Oh, I wanted to mention, so we started yesterday. And I don't know when I'm going to air this. So on Friday night, on March 27th, we actually did a hashtag Griffs Win replay on our Facebook. We actually showed the football homecoming game this past year versus Gannon. So we're going to continue that, and I don't have like a frequency of how often I want to do this. I'm going to aim for every other day, where we post a good win from the past year or 2 or 3 that Westmoreland Sports Network broadcasted, and we're going to broadcast that just like it's a live game on Facebook Live. So what game do you think in the past? Let's go the past 2 years. I think that's when we really started doing video for you. Give me a game I need to show live.
Well, for us, we don't have a lot of games on video. And like this year, I think Tampa had video of that game we played down there, but it's their own broadcast,
Right.
So
we would need to own the rights to that.
Yeah. So baseball is a little awkward sport as some of the other sports that we don't have legitimate television coverage. But last year in the conference tournament, we were making quite a run. And fortunately, Dan Flickinger and his crew were able to get out there and get some video and some live streaming of those games set up. And there's some pretty good wins in that tournament last year. Lots of offense, which is certainly fun to watch. But, the Gannon game was exciting. The Cal game is exciting. But of course, it's always nice to rewatch us beat Mercyhurst. So perhaps that's the one.
Yeah, I think now that you mention it, I think we'll go ahead and show that. I believe we did video for that one, didn't we?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we probably have to go back and check the archives. But I know Dan had done some video for those conference tournament games.
For the past, I think, 3 years, I've been working with Flick alongside him during the PSAC baseball tournament. And that's been really a highlight of my career, having that ability to go out there and just kind of have fun with him and be on the call with him. And then we'd grab some alumni because we always have a good alumni presence that come to watch those games. So we grab an alum out of the stands and get them on the air. And really, it was really just an enjoyable experience that we won't get this year. But hopefully next year we'll be back. I would assume that we would be back next year. I don't think this is going to last forever, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and speaking of the PSAC tournament, an interesting fact is we have not been knocked out of the PSAC tournament since 2016. How about that? Won it in 17, won it in 18, never got to finish it in 19, and it didn't happen in 20. So the PSAC tournament's a pretty neat place for us.
That might be something that we include in your media guide next year, which we never got published because we don't have a season. So I might put that on PDF and push that online for you to be able to send out. That's something that's on my to-do list that I haven't quite gotten to yet because I don't even know what day it is half the time. Are you experiencing that too? Are you waking up not knowing what day it is?
Yeah, very much so. My wife is home on weekends. She doesn't work Saturday and Sunday, and that's the only way I know that the week is over. When I roll over in the morning, if she's still in bed, I know it's Saturday.
Now, your wife works in the medical field, right?
She does. She's a physician assistant. Yeah.
What has she kind of conveyed to you about our crisis right now?
She's pretty up to speed on everything. She actually works at the Westmoreland County Prison, so she, medically has to oversee quite a large population. She echoes the sentiments of a lot of the professionals out there and just making good decisions, not taking any undue risks as far as being in crowds and traveling. I think it's really scary about how quickly it's grown. But there's no secret to it. It's just common sense. Let's make good decisions, stay home, and do the best that we can to flatten the curve.
Growing up, my parents always, pushed me to wash my hands, to, be at home at certain times and everything like that. And now I'm calling my parents, who are in their 70s right now, to remind them to wash their hands, to stay at home, and to do the same things that they told me when I was young. So it's a little bit of a role reversal and an interesting one. So it's crazy times that we're living in, but I think we're going to get through it. And is there anything else that you'd like to add to this?
No, just that I miss the heck out of our players. That's what I live for every day, is showing up and seeing those guys working hard and enjoying their experience at Seton Hill. I know they're all doing the best that they can right now. And it's disappointing that what we're all going through, especially as seniors. I'm going to really, really miss one last opportunity to make a championship run with all of our seniors. They've been such incredible leaders for our baseball program. I know they'll make great alumni, but I just miss the heck out of our guys. But again, like we talked about, we will have baseball again. So I wish everybody a lot of health, a lot of happiness in a tough time, and hopefully we'll get through this by summer.
Well, thanks, Coach, for sitting down and talking with me today. Really appreciate you and your insights, and I hope the family's doing well. And I hope to see you again here shortly on campus whenever we get to return.
I appreciate it, David. I'm glad, really grateful that I could be the first interview here, and I look forward to hearing from all the other staff members at Seton Hill. So thank you for the opportunity.